So if we move on to the Democrats for Social Credit, Bob Fox and Jenna Litchway. Right, thank you. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, unfortunately Jenna couldn't make it. Our presentation will be presented by Robin Columbus. If
that's acceptable, that's fine. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to pay attention to the first of our 6 submission points. Number 1, local body access to nil interest credit lines and loans from our sovereign bank. As the spokesman for the Democrats for Social Credit Party, we asked the City Council to seriously consider the use of nil interest credit lines and loans from the Reserve Bank of New Zealand to fund the Christchurch rebuild. These loans would be used for essential capital works and would relieve ratepayers of unsustainable debt servicing to the private financial sector. The Reserve Bank is already equipped to provide such facilities, as proven by the multi-billion-dollar arrangement made in recent years for the major banks. The use of Reserve Bank finance in this way has been used successfully in New Zealand before. It is not new or frivolous idea. John A. Lee was responsible for housing the first Labour government in 1935. He used the Reserve Bank to fund the building of thousands of state houses, a move based on his understanding of what was possible using social credit economic theory. The 1949 report of the Ministry of Works says the sums advanced by the Reserve Bank were not subscribed or underwritten by other financial institutions. This action showed the government's intention to demonstrate it is possible for the state to use the country's credit in creating new assets for the country. The 2012 report of the International Monetary Fund states, allowing the government to issue money directly at zero interest rather than borrowing the same money from banks at interest would lead to a reduction in the interest burden of government finances and to a dramatic reduction of net government debt, given that irredeemable government-issued money represents equity in the Commonwealth rather than debt. The use of social credit ideas contributed to New Zealand coming out of the crisis that was the Deep Depression long before most other countries. Christchurch is now facing a similar crisis. The Reserve Bank funding is the only sensible way to solve it without increasing ratepayer debt and without the need to sell assets. Okay, the bigger picture, if this isn't big enough. The big social, economic and environmental challenges of today require we address the nature of the money system. Christchurch City Council's initiative to insist on a Reserve Bank nil interest loan for the rebuild would be precedent setting. Although I think after last night's budget announcement, Auckland may have beaten you to it. I think they've received, I don't know what the figure is, but the government's going to bail them out on their roading at no interest. So there is a precedent already set. When Christchurch City Council accepts a loan from the Reserve Bank for infrastructures interest-free, the money is spent into the economy to stimulate the real economy, creating jobs and building businesses. At present in the Western world, 77% of our money is trapped in house price bubbles and financial speculation, 40% and 37% respectively. There is only 13% in the non-financial business sector, and credit cards and personal loans account for 10%. Such an initiative, as we suggest, will also be a beginning to a process of breaking the monopoly of our money by the banks. Almost all the money in the economy, 97% in fact, is on loan from the banks. Is this sector interested in local communities? I leave that for you to answer. Reserve Bank credit at no interest would go directly into the real economy of goods and services before it reaches financial markets and property bubbles. Research economists Kuhnhoff and Beans of the International Monetary Fund have indicated in their working paper, the Chicago Plan Revisited, that is in essence replacing money created by the banking system with money created by the state. This approach to our monetary system has the potential for much smoother business cycles, no possibility of bank runs, a large reduction of debt levels across the economy, and a replacement of that debt by debt-free government-issued money, with a lowering of interest rates, lower taxes, and inflation at close to 0%. With regard to local authorities, Len Brown of the Auckland Council last year challenged councils to find alternative funding solutions. At the Local Government New Zealand conference, he said nothing was working. And with regard to the Local Government Borrowing Bill, number 281-1 of June 2011, Democrats for Social Credit welcomed the general concept of a central authority. The Local Government Funding Authority is what's been suggested for all local government funding. And in fact, there is one already in existence, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. The Treasury, in preparing the regulatory impact statement enhancing local government borrowing options, left out the one option that would achieve far greater economic benefits to local authorities and ratepayers. That is no interest Reserve Bank credit. The Reserve Bank acting as that single central authority rather than the funding authority. And that would come without the additional bureaucracy a funding authority as envisaged would require. All responses to our submissions to select council draft plans state that no Reserve Bank New Zealand facility is available for local bodies. Well, we find no written evidence that such access is prohibited. Local Government President Lawrence Yule has told Local Government New Zealand that councils are facing major pressures to fund large-scale infrastructure investments to meet the needs of future generations and sustain economic growth with limited funding tools at your disposal. The required growth and funding requirements will place severe pressure on a pure property tax model. And you people know more about that than I will do. Mr. Yule says complementary alternatives are required. Our focus is on developing a strategy and model that is sustainable for New Zealand communities in the long term. Examples of funding tools that may be required for appropriateness in a New Zealand context include local income taxes, local consumption taxes, congestion charges, visitor charges, and payroll taxes. And we would add interest-free Reserve Bank credit. A sovereign government has the power to finance the public sector from its own central bank or treasury, creating for greater savings and producing far more capital assets. In times of recession, this is a proper counter-cyclical measure, beneficial to local authorities, communities and the economy as a whole, and it is sustainable. We urge local councils to gang together to insist on this option and in doing so take a much greater step for a sustainable future by breaking the monopoly banks have over our money. In closing, I wish to just draw your attention to two Christchurch press articles that were published over the last couple of years. One by Chris Trotter, Creating Money Out of Thin Air, Time to Do It Ourselves, and that was June 5, 2012. The second one, Making Money Dance to a New Tune Can Work. Chalky, Tim Hunter, Business Day, Wednesday, January 23rd, 2013. So if you people are serious about your city, your Christchurch city communities, just as we are, then you will look at this option. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? No, I think we're all good. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.